We're here at historic mile zero of the famous and infamous Alaska Highway.
Our road trip is going to take us more than 1,300 miles from here in Dawson Creek, British Columbia, through the Yukon, and all the way to Delta Junction, Alaska.
And Nikki, I gotta be honest, I'm pretty excited about this trip, mostly about the beautiful scenery and chance to see a lot of wildlife along the way.
Well, I haven't done the drive since I was about 8 years old, so I'm sure a lot has changed in that time, and I'm definitely looking forward to learning more about the history of the highway and, of course, meeting the people along the way.
So stick with us over the next hour and you'll have the chance to ride along as we head north to Alaska.
Channel 2 presents Road Trippin', the ALCAN at 75.
It's been called the Road to Hell, one of the world's most notorious wilderness roads, twisting 1,387 miles from Canada's remote backcountry north to the last frontier. In 2017, the famed Alaska Highway celebrated its 75th anniversary. Channel 2's Road Trippin' crew, Blake Essick and Nikki Carvajal, take to the ALCAN to highlight the route's unique beauty, rugged history, and most notable attractions. And that's where our road trip begins.
We wanted to look back at the history of the Alaska Highway. It's a story of cooperation between two countries and a technological achievement that it's hard to imagine matching even today. And there's no better place to learn than here at the Alaska Highway House.
The engineers overwhelmed small towns like Dawson Creek, British Columbia.
I can't even imagine. Can you imagine a road even being like the permit signed in under 9 months now? Like, I have no idea how they did it.
Sometimes stress is the best motivator. And if you read between the lines on the walls of the Alaska Highway House, you can see how it sometimes pays off. It's hard to think of a time in American history where the country was under more stress than in 1942.
It all started because of the attack on Pearl Harbor.
The United States was under attack. A once unimaginable problem was going to need once unimaginable answers. We needed a road connecting the railway in Dawson Creek, British Columbia, to strategic locations in Alaska, and we needed it fast.
They hadn't surveyed the road before they originally went up.
Construction started on March 8, 1942. It would take more than 11,000 soldiers. A third of the men were from African American regiments. Things sped up after the Japanese invasion of the Aleutian Islands Kiska and Attu. In September of that same year, crews working in both directions of the highway met up at Contact Creek. And then, by the end of October, these sounds were replaced by this. Listen.
Symbolizes the opening of the ALCAN Highway.
In just 9 months, less than a year, the United States had built 1,300 miles of road. But it came at a price. Many of the soldiers who built the road had no idea what they were signing up for. In a PBS documentary that plays at the Highway House Museum, one man remembers the shock.
A DA tractor, I'd never seen one before. 21 years old, and I wasn't prepared, I'll guarantee you. I'll guarantee I wasn't prepared.
The military itself seemed unprepared too.
A lot of the clothing and stuff like that we have up, hanging up, is the stuff that they would actually wear in our minus a million degrees here. So I don't know how they did it.
In their rush, soldiers sometimes took dangerous risks. A memorial now stands at Charlie Lake where a crew was trying to move gear across the water in bad weather. Their pontoon was swamped. 12 men died. All across the road, men lost feet, hands to the cold.
Tractor operators were found along the road sitting by their parked equipment and crying violently.
In the warmer months, a whole different set of problems.
In the deep of the woods is incredible. Like, I can't imagine the bugs and everything that they'd have to put up with.
It was more than just an annoyance. There are stories of horses dying from too many bites. It's hard to imagine, but it was a way to save the country and a way for the men who worked on the road to leave their mark on the world. And while they wouldn't do it again, it's a legacy no one can take away. And it all started here in Dawson Creek, a city originally built on agriculture. But it was the Alaska Highway that put it on the map. 75 years later, Dawson Creek is a destination in itself.
We're here at mile 300 of the Alaska-Canada Highway, Fort Nelson, population 3,300. And all along the way since we left Dawson Creek, we've been told we have to meet Marl Brown, which is why we're here. the Fort Nelson Heritage Museum.
While he won't admit it,
just ordinary, everyday old Brown.
85-year-old Marl Brown is anything but ordinary.
I own quite a few vehicles.
He first arrived in Fort Nelson back in 1957, serving as a highway mechanic for the Canadian Army. 30 years later,
we opened in '87.
Brown turned Fort Nelson's discarded past into a present-day treasure.
I just seen so much stuff being destroyed and thrown away, and I thought, it's time somebody hung on to a bit of it.
Over the years, Marl's collected a little bit of everything, from old tools and typewriters to anything with 4 wheels and a motor.
Yeah, I guess I was bit with the old car bug.
After decades of collecting, Marl says he has no idea how many vehicles he owns. But when it comes to which is his favorite,
it's not a Model T. It's a Buick.
Age before beauty.
For its 100th birthday, we'll take it out for a little drive. So we loaded up and we drove it to Whitehorse and back. It was 100 years old.
Marl says top speed on his 1908 Model 10 is about 45 miles per hour, but he averaged about 25 on his trip up north.
You missed 90% of the. Yeah, so slow down.
It's great.
Whatever you do, don't get in a hurry.
This doesn't look like if I sat in the seat and tried to drive it that I would make it very far.
No, you better take some lessons.
So that's exactly what we did.
That pedal is reversed, so if you want to go in reverse, you just hold it down, eh? This is emergency brake. There's your throttle, your gas.
Oh, wow.
Despite my desire to get behind the wheel, I thought it best to let experience lead the way.
We got the door. Is that a problem? All right, let's go for a ride.
For about 5 minutes, I set shotgun as Marl and I took a spin around the museum in what he calls his Mutt Model T.
You give me the old,
a front row seat to Alaska highway history.
That's all the time we have here at Fort Nelson. Time to hit the road and head north. And we're going to take Marl's advice, take it nice and slow to enjoy everything that the Alaska Highway has to offer.
From Fort Nelson, we've got about 200 miles before reaching our next destination, the perfect place to relax the mind, body, and soul, the Alaska Highway's hottest stop.
Since leaving Fort Nelson, the drive through the Canadian Rockies has been absolutely spectacular.
We have seen some of the most amazing sights that we've had the whole drive. We've seen beautiful mountains, lakes and creeks. Muncho Lake had this beautiful crystal clear blue water. It's been amazing.
While we still have a long way to go, there's probably no better place to stop along the way than right here at Liard Hot Springs.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Every time we drive up and down the Alaska Highway, we always stop in at the hot springs. You have to. It's a must-do. You know, it's so beautiful. Where else would you get such natural beauty? And it's just so gorgeous. We love it. Do you know about putting a rock?
No.
You have to. So where those rocks are just below those people, it's actually bubbling. It's so hot because the water actually gets cooler as you go down.
Okay.
And so my husband, every time we come here, he has to put a rock.
She told me there's a cold water source there. That's why I want to try the adventure and see it. I'm the last one. My kids, Jalen and Zim, already tried, and I say I cannot be left behind too far away. I try to catch it up. That's why.
The smell of sulfur is stronger over here. There's no question about that. All right, so this is a badge of honor right here. So
yes, we go together.
Oh, jeez.
Yes, on the top.
Oh.
How's the drive been?
Not too bad. Yeah.
He likes it.
Yeah, it's doable with a 17-month-old, so yeah. Oh, you're having way too much fun.
Well, I think it's safe to say that Liard Hot Springs is definitely worth a stop.
Absolutely amazing things that you find along the ALCAN, and this is definitely one of them.
I feel so good. I think we could go another 1,000 miles today.
And I think we can do that as long as you're behind the wheel.
No, you're driving, Blake.
Oh, then I think we better take a nap.
You're driving. After drying off and deciding who was going to drive, Blake and I were back on the road. This time, we made it about 100 miles before reaching mile 567, Contact Creek, a special place in ALCAN history. It's where soldiers building the highway from the north met up with soldiers building it from the south. Each crew working for 8 months to make the remote highway a reality, meeting up at Contact Creek on October 25th, 1942.
If you're looking for a sign that it's time to stop driving for a while, you'll find tens of thousands of them here. It's one of the most popular stops along the highway, and it's really easy to spend a whole day getting lost in the forest.
Alrighty. Grab whatever you can.
There's a bra out there.
Add some color. A personal touch.
Do you want to add anything?
A message.
Everybody's got a great story.
Some power tools.
Didn't know I was going to do it, but I came prepared.
I guess right there. Make room for the next person that way.
And you're in the club. Other members are from Germany, Africa, Romania, China.
From Australia all the way to Vienna to Russia, back to the US and Canada too, every province.
Antarctica, maybe we don't have one from, because I don't think there's anybody there.
You're connected to almost the whole world by one forest. You can find its roots stretching as far back as the highway itself. A homesick, injured soldier tasked with fixing a signpost.
And he just put his own sign up underneath it. And it looks like everybody thought it was a good idea.
Hugo Schwant drove the highway in the 70s.
There was maybe 2 signposts full of maybe 30 or so signs at that time. That was 1978. And now I couldn't believe it.
Now, well, they've stopped counting, but a good estimate is 86,000.
86,000. That is overwhelming, man. Yeah.
It's the largest signpost forest in the world.
I think it's in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Not just for that.
The largest collection of stolen property never prosecuted.
Signs of home from all across the globe. Just don't try to pick a favorite.
I could walk down each aisle and go, okay, this one, well, this one, well, maybe that one.
Because in this club,
Yeah, portable right there. That one right there.
the only sign of your membership,
Kind of cool.
stays in the forest.
Visitor Center here says the signpost forest gets over 100 new signs every single day during the summer. All right, Blake, time to make yourself useful.
You know what, Nick, I've been carrying you and this sign since Dawson Creek. So.
All right, just turn around. We just pulled into Whitehorse and we saw more people than we've seen on the entire trip, so we had to find out why. Well, it turns out there's an event happening here that hasn't happened in over 20 years. So Blake and I are going to check it out.
You can hear the hoof beats coming up the road, and then they come through the tunnel behind us. The RCMP musical ride is a group of 32 horses. They tour around the world. They represent Canada in their red surge with their 32 black Hanoverians riding complex patterns. Is pretty magical. This is the grand finale for the weekend, yes. It's just magical because the horses, the performances, for people who know about riding horses, it's amazing. For people who don't know that much about horses, it's still pretty magical. They are unarmed, they carry lances. They look a little bit scary. It's pretty amazing.
Right! Order! Lens!
And it's all reflected in the crowd. We get standing, people standing and cheering, so it's pretty spectacular.
Some of those adventures involved food. And from Dawson Creek to Delta Junction, there's no shortage of places to eat on the Alaska Highway. Here are some of our favorites.
Now, we all know that one of the most essential parts of a road trip is the food. I mean, what's a road trip without the snacks?
And according to the CBC, Canadians actually consume more donuts per capita than any other country in the world. And because of that, when we were leaving town earlier this morning, I stopped by the old donut store.
Oh, yay.
Picked up a couple donuts, Canadian maple for me. And because I know you like historical things, I got you an old fashioned. So.
Hopefully it's not old, though.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Tastes like Canada.
This is sugar-free, right?
So it's once again time to eat. We were in Fort Nelson at Fort Pizza.
And we have these things called Newfie fries, and they honestly look delicious. So it's French fries, and they're covered in everything.
Everything.
We got like beef, onions, mushrooms, and of course, Canadian gravy.
There's a lot going on, and I like it.
It's really good though.
It's good, eh? All right, so Nugget City is known for their pies, and this is strawberry rhubarb pie, which is apparently the best.
We've heard
Nikki,
that.
you can do the honors.
Okay, thank you, Blake. Dude, you have to try that. It's really good.
Here's your Johnson's Crossing.
All right.
Enjoy.
And this is why we're here at Johnson Crossing. This is the famous Johnson Crossing cinnamon bun, and it's going to be the frosting on top of our food adventure.
Lots of that.
Go ahead, Blake. It's so good.
Dessert number 3.
It's so good. Okay, well, I'm gonna finish this and then run all the way back to Alaska. I know what I said about running back to Alaska and being done with the snacking, but this is the last one. I really mean it this time. Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll see. We're almost at the border, so maybe I mean it this time. We're in Haines Junction, and we decided to go out with a bang and get the ice cream. I went with the Cool Mint.
And of course, I went with the Boo Boo Bubble because why the heck not, right?
What do you mean, of course? What does Boo Boo taste like?
It's on the menu. Always order the Boo Boo Bubble.
Right.
It's my motto.
Words to live by.
Yeah. What does it taste like? Let's find out.
Let's find out. Cool Mint's good.
Canadian state secret. You're gonna have to come and try it if you want to find out
what Boo Boo is.
I've made it to Alaska. Blake, the straggler over here, is still stuck in Canada.
I don't want to leave. I liked it over in Canada.
Yeah, well, I liked it too. But I came home, Blake.
Well, after 1,200 miles, I do think it is time that we continue to head north. We still have a couple hundred miles to go to Delta Junction.
We do, but we ran into somebody here, the only person who was at the border, and she had a really interesting perspective on the Alaska and Yukon connection.
It's very interesting to see how, like, everything is between Canada and Alaska, so yes, and I'm very impressive to see no border here, so I can stand and make a picture in Canada and America at the same time. It's very interesting because in Europe we don't have any border control, and here is like one point, so I can go in one country and in another one. Yeah.
Now that we're officially back in Alaska, I think it's appropriate to say that we've driven the Alaska Highway.
Well, not officially, but close enough.
We're close.
From start to finish, the Alaska Highway is packed with beautiful scenery, and it's almost impossible not to run into wildlife along the way. But we do want to warn you, some of the video in this story is graphic and may be difficult to watch.
From start to finish, the Alaska Highway offers some of the most breathtaking scenery you'll ever find.
And it's almost impossible not to run into some wildlife along the way as well.
This is Mother Nature at its finest.
On the road from Dawson Creek to Delta Junction.
There's more wildlife you're going to see here than you're ever going to see in any urban environment.
You never know what could be waiting for you just around the corner. Sometimes it's a mountain and a lake, other times...
No big deal, just a herd of wood bison. Plain chicken.
It's an entire herd of wood bison, soaking up the sun in the middle of the road.
You're going to see quite often a lot of buffalo, which is an amazing, beautiful creature. If you see one with a little bit of a limp, don't worry about calling us. That's old Fred. He got hit by a truck last year. He's just toughing it out.
A little further south in the Canadian Rockies near Muncho Lake, it's incredibly common to see mountain goats, stone sheep, and caribou lining the highway.
They're preparing for winter already, and they come in with your babies in particular and teach them to eat and chew on the gravel, which is where the salt is for the road consistently.
And if you decide to stop to take a picture or perhaps have a conversation, just make sure you do it from a safe distance.
These animals are wild. Keep respecting that.
On our trip up the Alaska Highway, we saw wood bison, moose, a black bear, stone sheep, lynx, and caribou. But we also saw this. The end result of what happens when you're driving too fast.
I see consistently people doing 160, 180 kilometers an hour through here.
And aren't aware of your surroundings.
So they're not hard to see. If you're not racing along, you can see them. They're very easy to see. The bottom line is safety comes first. There are cyclists, there are hikers, there are pedestrians, there are children, and there are animals. And at those speeds, you're not only going to kill the animal or someone else, you can quite likely kill yourself on these roads.
So take your time, enjoy the beauty, enjoy the drive, and protect the wildlife.
As we inch closer to our destination, we couldn't resist a chance to stop at the Tetlin National Wildlife Refuge, an area which covers roughly 700,000 acres between the Yukon and Alaska border. Here, you could see grizzly bears, black bears, Dall sheep, wolves, and moose. And even if you aren't lucky enough to see any of that wildlife, you can still enjoy the beautiful views from the side of the road.
We're now only about 150 miles from the end of the road, but no journey up the Alaska Highway would be complete without stopping in Tok.
We started our journey in Dawson Creek, British Columbia about 1,300 miles ago.
And after 5 days, we're finally back home in Alaska at the first city you'll find on the roadway, Tok.
So we're here. What do you want to do?
I have no idea. Let's go find out.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi there.
Welcome to Tok.
Hi, I'm Blake. This is Nikki.
Hi. Nice to
We're
meet you.
here only for a few hours. Is there anything going on in town that we absolutely shouldn't miss?
You've only got a few hours? Mm-hmm. Right here in town, we do have something unique. Only Tok has Mukluk land.
What? What is
We have Mukluk land.
Ready for this?
I'm so ready. Big bounce.
land.
Mukluk land.
Ready? Well, we're here.
Yeah.
What do we do? What are the must-do things while we're here at Mukluk Land?
No one can leave the skee ball cabin without playing skee ball.
Right, loser has to sleep in the car tonight.
Okay, deal.
Oh, 10 points. We're all tied up here.
You still have one more. Oh, good job. You got it. What? Why? Why?
First one to 150!
We just enjoy people coming, and especially when they leave and say, what an awesome place. We have engines from here, there, and yonder, and we have heaters, and we also have many pieces of equipment that were built on the Alaska Highway.
Hey Nikki, check it out. 1942 Army truck. This was actually used to build the Alaska Highway and came here to Mukluk Land in 2012.
What? That's super cool.
Yeah.
And a doll collection. Dolls, we have about 3,000 dolls.
And it's not scary at all.
You know what amazes me always? You know who's afraid of the dolls? Teenage boys.
Hey, let's check out the dollhouse.
Right. Do you really want to go? Nope. Nope.
Seriously?
Nope. Nope. Not happening.
She said teenage
Nope.
boys were afraid of that, Blake.
And 32-year-old men. Yes.
My husband has collected snowmobiles from here and there and yonder.
This is what they used to use for Iron Dog?
Yeah. Let's go. Let's go.
Hey, look how fast we're going.
I think we're winning. We're winning the Iron Dog, Blake.
And I always say you're never too old to have fun. And they always find that to be true.
Oh my God.
That's what we have been enjoying ever since 1985.
What's the best thing to do when you drive up the ALCAN?
Come to Mukluk Land, of course.
So what'd you think of Mukluk Land?
That was super fun.
Yeah.
And it's our last stop before the end of the road.
Delta Junction or bust?
Yeah, there we go.
Looks nice.
5 days and more than 1,300 miles in the car. Can you believe we are almost here?
We're here. That's it. That's it. That's the end. We're here.
It almost feels surreal, but hey, you know what? I got a picture at the front.
I'm Blake and his selfies.
I'm going to get a picture at the end.
Oh, Blake, you gotta take a selfie.
It's my favorite thing to do.
I know it is. Okay,
right,
well, while you're doing that, I'm gonna go learn more about Delta Junction.
All right.
Ah, souvenirs. This is perfect. Time for some t-shirts and bumper stickers.
If you're visiting Delta Junction,
a lot of them know about the highway and came here to see and be on the highway.
it probably means two things. You're looking for a piece of your trip to take home,
And in fact, they were looking for something that would have let them take it back with them as a reminder.
And you've reached the end of the road. But is Delta Junction really the end of the Alaska Highway? Well, that seems to be a matter of debate. Some maps and even a marker in downtown Fairbanks claim the Golden Heart City is the true end of the road.
Well, I say to Fairbanks, you can't have everything.
Mary Leith has lived in Delta Junction most of her life, and she's very passionate about this.
The time that some people, I will never know who it is, cut loose their end of the Alaska Highway marker and threw it in the Chena River, I was one of the people cheering down here.
Emotions aside, she makes a good case.
The Richardson Trail went from Valdez to Fairbanks, and the Alaska Highway came up and met it in 1942. So yeah, this is the end of the Alaska Highway.
So yes, while the end goal of the highway was to make it to Fairbanks, the final stretch of road already existed from Delta Junction to Fairbanks.
There's the end of the highway marker with the flags of Canada and the United States and Alaska and all to show that we worked in partnership to get this built 75 years ago.
For many people who make the long trek up the Alaska Highway, it's more about the journey than the destination.
I think it's just like everybody, they have a bucket list, and there are certain things you want to do.
If Delta Junction is your goal, just make sure you don't rush it.
Stay long enough to actually see the place, because as you come through here, you miss a lot of the beauty of the area.
And maybe even pick up a few souvenirs as a reminder.
Well, Nikki, thank you so much for the shirt.
Hey, anytime we travel more than 1,000 miles together, Blake.
That's all it took. I'll take it. Shirt, 1,000 miles, good deal.
But it has been amazing traveling down this road and meeting the people in the communities and the travelers along the way.
And while driving down that road, really appreciating the men that 75 years ago built it and made our journey possible. Truly incredible.
So from all of us here at Channel 2, thanks for watching, and hopefully you'll get to make the journey yourself someday.
Safe travels.